This is Damon Stevens with Finwell Builders. Today is Sunday, August 8th, 2021. And this is a Monday prep, as well as a quick review of last week and what that does to this week and what we can expect going forward. So let's get into this video and see what we can see for the week coming up. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to Finwell Live and also like our videos so that we can continue bringing this content to you. As we get into this, again, these are all the trades that we are looking at and what we're planning on to do this week. So just keep that in mind and be safe as you're trading. Just to recap, last week we ended the week with the Dow Jones up 0.41%, Nasdaq down 0.40%, and S&P 500 down up 0.17%. So overall pretty flat. If you look at the FANG stocks on the heat map over here, you can see that not a lot of movement across the board. AMZN down was 1%. We'll cover that. That's on our charts as well. Looking at the overall heat map for the world as well, it's pretty much a mixed bag. China continues to suffer. We've looked at these stocks as far as how far beaten down can they get before we start to buy them up. And I was interested in and going to start keeping an eye on BABA and PDD and a couple others that look like they could possibly give us a run, because they're getting heavily discounted at this point. But a lot of that also depends on what happens in China. So let's get into these charts. The end of the week on Friday, the stocks that hit the scanner, the top stocks were KXIN and ANI. I traded ANI, I didn't trade KXIN, but we'll go ahead and cover that anyway. Just so you can see, because maybe you were looking at the scanners we talk about every day, and maybe you're able to catch this. But you see the low here was $1.66, high of $6.38. So on a stock this small, I mean, that's some huge gains, with the amount of shares you can probably buy on this. So if you look at it though, it does look like it's kind of retracing a little bit back, at the end of the day, Friday. We'll see what it does for this week. But, even if you missed the first run up to $3, it still dropped down to $2.50. And then back up to over 3 again. So even if you have that 50-cent move, if you have a lot of shares, I mean, that's a lot. And you see that it did get support here on the 50 moving average as well, which is really important to be able to see, to know that it's actually honoring those moving averages. So good move for those that got it. ANI, nice rocket up to 561, pulled back to 441, back up to 525, back down to the 50 moving average. We talk about this a lot in our videos. That 50 moving average, and it down to 459, up to 505. I caught a little bit of this. I thought it was going to run higher. It didn't. It kind of petered out. It actually started to close back on the gap that it created. About half of it was closed out. And so we're going to see if it's going to stay above this 15, start to move back up over $5 here and head towards 6 and higher, or if it's just going to collapse out of here. So going to be watching that this week just to kind of see what it does. If it doesn't do anything at the beginning of the week here, we probably will just take it off of our list. Hood did get a piece of hood as well. You can see here that it continues to pop up and down. It did break below the 50 here at the end of the last week, down at $50, but then it kind of rallied back up. High was 55.07. Staying on this 50 though, so that's good to see. I want to see that and see if we can kind of pop this up and kind of ride it. It's amazing. It just came alive all of a sudden last week. Just wondering if it's going to be a meme stock or not, or if it was just short-lived. But if it's a meme stock and continues to be, then we could start to see some rallies again. Earnings coming up. AMC actually is on the list, if you see on Monday at the close. So definitely be watching that one. And actually, I've been monitoring that one as well. Workhorse as well, Trade Desk, Dish, Tyson, a few others. This week's not as exciting because I don't see as big of companies as we had last week. Last week was just a killer week. But we'll be watching these stocks and looking for daily as far as what we can capture out of each one of them. But for me, it'd probably be a light trading week on the earnings stocks. But I'll watch them and see what it provides. AMD really did great last week. We've had a good 2-week run at this thing, and now it's kind of pulled back and retraced a little bit. It was below the 5, which I'm kind of keeping an eye on. That's below the support line that I had out here. So that becomes resistance now. So it's got to pop back through here if it wants to stay bullish. So I'm going to take a look and see what happens with AMD. I mean, it had to run further than I thought. I mean, last week was just a killer week. And I thought this thing maybe would get to like 108 or 110 or something, but it went clear up over 120. 22. So it was a rock star last week, just amazing. So hopefully you got a piece of this. And we're covering our videos and telling you that to keep an eye on it. But it looks like it is retracing a little bit. Hasn't gone down 50%. Hasn't met the 20 yet at $100. So we'll see what it does this week. I think there's still some play in AMD. Tesla, it hit this 120. I thought, it hit it twice. I thought maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time to break out. So 120 was a barrier that we've had, for weeks now. But it looks like it failed. And it failed, and it pulled back, and I was waiting for it to come down below 700. And I thought, well, if it stays above 700, I'll pick it up again. And it dropped below to 697. I thought, okay, well, maybe it says, a little bit of a fake out here. It did rally back up to 705. So I thought, okay, let's just keep an eye on it and watch it. Came back down to 700. I was like, okay, it's good. Broke back down below the 700 level towards the end of the day. It's fading down a little bit, down to 698. I'm a little concerned with this failure of Tesla. It might, continue to peter out here and come right back down again. So we're going to be watching this week. You just get trades off this, whether you're shorting it or going long. If I do short this, I have to use puts typically, but going to be watching that this week, as we do every day, to see what it can do for us. BNTX, I told you this had a huge run, had to come back and reset at some point, or at least come and rest. And because it was rallied up from 344 up to 433. And it did pull back down to the 50, rallied back up to 407, pulled back down to 368, back up to 389. So, this one could be my next Tesla. If it keeps trading, $10 to $20 a move. So I'll be definitely watching that this week. This gave us a good run here. Didn't catch all this choppiness in the middle as it was consolidating and dropping a little bit. But I definitely want to catch this, if this begins to run again, or if it breaks below this 50 moving average, it might become more bearish. So we're going to watch both sides of that trade, see what the price action shows us, and see what we want to do. EXPE was down here at 118, got up to 187. So that was back earlier this year. It pulled back down to the 200 finally at end of, later in this summer here, and it hit one. And I thought, well, okay, where's it going to go now? You see they kind of rallied up and came back down. I thought for sure EXP was going to run for us again, possibly, and hit this little double dip here on the 200. It did not. It broke through the 200. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this one because this is one that, had a great play. It was consolidating for a long time and just slowly kind of chewed down lower. And I was hoping it was going to find a breakout. We had this big long bar and it hit the scanner, but it just kind of petered out. So I just wanted you to see that. Once it breaks at 200, it pretty much, there's a short opportunity. I don't like to look at shorts as much. I take advantage of them if they come up. But this one, we're probably going to take this off our list for now because I just see it going bearish for now. Moderna, keep talking about Moderna, huge run. It hit 433. That was kind of a lot of resistance. It hit it a second day, third day, came back. Hasn't retraced much. Kind of sitting in this little channel here. Could retrace back to 406 area. But we're just waiting to see if it can break back at run above the 418 level and start to rally back up again. Or if it's just going to consolidate and rest. It could also pull back. There's a gap that left clear down here. Could come back and revisit that at some point. But right now, as long as the news is good around the vaccines and everything else that's in the news, looks like it's keeping Moderna pumped up there. So, KLEC, we've traded this one as well. This gapped up, looking for a possible trace back to fill that gap at some point. Looks like it kind of peaked out, try to get over the highs here, has failed to do that. You see that we had the highs back here as well. You see this tried for about 4 or 5 days, and then it started to pull back, and then just lost its strength. So I know that that's an issue that could possibly happen. Going to watch this for this first couple of days. If it can't break back up towards the highs, I'm just going to be looking to see if there's a short option here to kind of short this back down and take advantage of this closing of the gap. As we saw kind of the failure here, we saw the failure here as well. It tries for a few days and that's about it. So be watching that this week as well. Nike, big old long run. Finally, we found a little bit of a top possibly here. This bar is bigger than most of the other bars, except for this one here. You can see this big bar here. This was a pullback, looking to see if Nike is going to pull back here as well towards the 170 range and possibly rally back up again. If it breaks below this 5 moving average, if it doesn't, we could possibly, keep running to new highs again. So Nike remains on our list and trading on a daily basis. Amazon, you had this big pullback. We've been in consolidation here. Looks like we're rallying back up. Had a nice little rally. Seeing if we can get above. We're above the 50, but see if we can get above the 50 here or the 100 and start to move up here. But it did find resistance, pulled back. We'll see what Amazon can do as far as rallying back up. Its high up here was 33.89. So, it's got some room to run back up there. So we'll see what it can do. Carvana all-time highs. Just knew this thing had to be topping out. Thought for sure, we talked about this in the last videos last week, it stayed on the 20, had a chance to run, and that's exactly what it did. Ran up though, it ran up and then hit the top here at 373 and then pulled all the way back to 345. So it tried to bust through, found resistance, pulled way back, almost retraced the whole thing pretty much. So we'll see if, if there's a little bit more, maybe you kind of try to run too fast after this big long run, but we'll see. But we're watching Carvana as well. AMC, we have earnings like we talked about coming up this week on Tuesday, or on end of day Monday. Tuesday is when we'll look for it as well. But you can see here that you got this little wedge forming, and on a daily basis, you can see that it kind of pulled up, tried to break through, pulled down, came back up, pulled down. So that shows a lot of weakness. Typically, like it's going to break through towards the bear side. If you look on it on a intraday on a 5-minute chart, you see the same. You got the pattern here where it's staying in the wedge, but on this one, on the short-term time frame, you can see that it tried to break through and it kind of settled right there. So we're going to see if this is going to retrace back. This may decide to run. AMC might. So I'm going to be watching the earnings. If it breaks above this 3270 level, we're going to take it for a run. See where it'll go. If it fails that breakout and it breaks back into this channel, then you got this bottom level around 3224. If it breaks that, then we'll be playing the downside. So really kind of keep an eye on this wedge to see which way the stock breaks out and holds. And that's the way that we'll be trading on that. But AMC looks like it'll give us a possible trade this week. The dollar's kind of rallied up here. Makes me a little nervous that the SPY might pull back a little bit here with the rallying of the dollar. It didn't on Friday. So, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. Just be aware of that. If this continues to escalate, then it could put pressure on the markets to pull back a little bit. The VIX, love it. It's pulling back here, and this is why the SPY's been able to rally down to 1616 again, down at this prior support level we had now. See, if it breaks that, then it'll become resistance, and might get to the SPY running to new highs again. So we'll watch this one, see if it decides to spike through. You can see the pattern here. It spikes, comes back to settle, spikes, comes back to settle. So we're right now at that settling point as well. If it holds here, then it'll start to rally to spike again here in the near future. This is SPY, you can see nice long trend, new highs, looking very bullish, very strong pattern. So continue to trade and watch for the SPY. Triple Qs haven't been as strong, but still continues to march up to new highs. Semiconductors, SMH, you see pull back to the 100 or to the 10, the 5 here, so it can bounce back up again. So still very bullish on this one. Market overall looks pretty good. Here's a Dow Jones. Dow Jones, you can see that it's not as strong as the others. It's been this channel for quite some time. Broke through on Friday. So we'll see if it gets into this new channel that we have up here and holds and possibly moves to new highs. IWM, so Russell 2000, you see that it broke up above the 50 and then it kind of pulled back a little bit. So I got a little red doji here. See if it can hold above that level. If it can, we can start to rally up towards 223.39 and hopefully higher. But you can see it's just been consolidating this channel. Failed, pulled back in above the 200. Now it's above the 100. and the 50. So we'll see what that can do this week as well. Financials pulled down, right? Rallied back up almost to this low resistance area. So we'll see it's around this 38. If it can break through that 38 mark and start to head towards new highs again. Gold, big pullback on gold. Boy, we had one day of a big pullback to support. Thought it was going to hold, and it didn't. It broke back down to the other prior lower levels here that it was back here in April. So any gains on April, if you didn't lock in your profits, you're back down to that same level back here that you were in April. So that's a huge impact. So maybe keep an eye on gold. It had a double bottom here and rallied up. See if it can hold at the bottom here. And silver, same thing. Just really pulling back a long ways here, showing a lot of weakness. Here's the prior support levels. You can see that it kind of went below that. So got to keep an eye on silver and gold. They're pulling back here, and that could be a sign of other things that are happening with the major market. Bitcoin rallied up here. Boy, this was a great weekend. Just really rallied up, stayed off that 20, rallied back up. We're around that 44,000 level. So looking very strong. We'll see if it kind of pulls back, but it did kind of check back in on the 20. So, Bitcoin might be ready for a nice bull run here. I had a really good weekend. Ethereum, same thing. I sold my Ethereum out here at the top around 3,000. So looking to see if this is going to pull back here. It looks like it did. I don't want to stay out too long. I just wanted to lock in some of the profits because, we're, pretty much 50% back up retracement of the very high. So I didn't want to take too much of a chance. So keep an eye on this one. Looking for reentry if we can find support. If it bounces above the this prior high, I'll just jump right back in again. So these are kind of my lines in the sand to keep an eye on this week. Doge, I just kind of stay on Doge. I moved to Ethereum and looking at Ethereum and Bitcoin more because I have positions in both. So Doge I got out of at the bottom and I have not got back in. I mean, it just doesn't seem as strong as it did before when I got this full run up here, the first run. So we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe there'll be a trade in here. If you scalp this one or grab this one, congratulations. It gave you a good quick run. And that's all our videos. So we have some stocks that we're watching for tomorrow. We got earnings stocks we're watching. The scanners keep an eye on, and we'll see what Monday brings, and we'll give you update on where we did and what we accomplished on Monday night. So everybody trade safe out there. Watch the momentum, watch the levels for the SPY and the VIX to give you an idea of where we're headed. And we'll talk to you on Monday.